Yes, I'm Jaime Pacena. I'm from the Philippines and I'm the writer-director of Kono Basho.
Okay. So, first question, tell me a bit about this trip of yours in Japan that was the foundation, let's say, of the story of the film.
Well, it started way back 2010. I was part of a Genesis program for creators by the Japan Foundation Manila. So I was there just to research about Japanese art and culture. And that was 2010. And then after I went back home, the tsunami happened in March 2011. And after that, I was able to go to Japan, specifically in the Tohoku area, to just observe about what happened 5 months after the tsunami. So it was really something that is new to me, especially that how they how they cope and how they manage after the tsunami. And then there was this curator that I met in Omori Contemporary Art Center and invited me to participate in a residency, in an artist in residence program, specifically in Rikusan Takata City, which is not not usual in those times because that's the only residency, artist in residency in a tsunami hit area. At first, we didn't know what to do with the place because everything was temporary. Everything was was still rebuilding, and everything was about construction and reconstruction. So I was just there to observe. And the program is very special because it's not just a one-time thing. They invited me again to go there. That was in 2013, 2 years after the tsunami. And then I went back 2014, 2016, and by myself I went there by 2018, and then did a residency again 2019 and 2023. And I was inspired by this idea of how the people reform and how the city basically gradually reformed and rebuilt themselves. And it was during the time as well that something happened in my life, a very personal thing that happened in my life. So when I was starting to write the story, it was all about this. In an instant, anything can happen to you, like a tsunami. It can hit you badly, and it would put you into grief, and that's how it all started. And when developed, and when I was starting to develop the story, it evolved, and it evolved into this what it became. It was, even now it's a totally different thing when I wrote it, because of all of these challenges and making my first film, and making it in Cinemalaya, under Cinemalaya, and all of those challenges. But I was still very grateful that I was able to start something and build something from that, and let it evolve and become what it is now. So the whole inspiration of archive, of getting materials from several years of research came into mind, because it was really an integral part of what I would like to say and to show to the audience. So that's basically the story of the research part, or at least the journey of the residency as an artist, or as a person who witnessed a place reform gradually.
And the film is co-production Philippines and Japan, right? Or how did the funding, let's say, work?
The funding is mainly Philippines. It was the time that I approached Project 8 projects and I pitched to them. In 2019, it was something that I was really trying to push myself. I told myself that if I will not do something about it, maybe I won't be able to make this film ever. And I just tried to push and push, and one of the producers, which is Project 8 Projects, helped me find a financer. During that time, they were doing Diamonds in the Sand, a film co-produced by Japan and I think Malaysia, and then
It is now in Berlin,
Philippines.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but for my film, it was all Philippine team, Philippine financer. But we were supported by Japan Foundation Manila, but the main financing came from the Philippines and the whole crew, the main crew came from the Philippines. So it's more of a production support that Japan helped us, and it was a good thing that during the time that I was there in Santa Cata, I was able to build a relationship with the local community. So some of the, not just people who are part of the film, people who were able to help me find a location and find people to, to talk to about shooting in this place, and it was very easy. And even the local city, we were able to talk to them, because even before the time that we were doing the project, I was developing this with them, so they understand and they know the journey of this particular story. And it is somehow Japan and Philippines, but the financing is mostly Philippines, and of course the support was Japanese. And we wanted to make it more authentic, so I really considered to really consult with a lot of Japanese people that I have worked with and that I have met. So
But you shot in Japan though, right?
yeah, everything in Japan.
Were the logistics difficult to bring all those people in Japan from the Philippines, or?
It was a little bit tricky, especially for a very budgeted type of production. But the equipment was supported by CMB, one of the leading film equipment company in the Philippines. So because I was able to work with Dan Villegas, one of the cinematographer and also producer and director, I was technically surrounded by a lot of very experienced people in the industry, and then a lot of people also support them and believe in them, and it made us easy to go there and to bring all the equipments, bring all the staff and crew. It was minimal crew, but I think that was part of the work that we have put into something that we were able to pull off at least, and something that we were able to manage, doing things together, So it was not the usual type of big production. It was really very intimate. So I think that was something that made it happen for all of us.
And did you expect the success in Cinemalaya? How do you feel with all the awards?
No. Even here, being here is not something that I really thought of. I just wanted to make the film. It was when people ask me, "You're making a drama," I told them that I'm not really aware of a lot of different, film language and all of those things, but because my background is art. But I just listened, and I listened and learned the whole process, doing this one step at a time. And the Cinemalaya was maybe a luck, I believe it in luck and in prayers. But I was very happy because it means that the whole team, did a good job, especially my producers, and also Dan Villegas, who's my producer and mentor and cinematographer.
It won an award for cinematography, right?
Yes. And I owe it to him, this idea of being awarded as best director, because what I did is to make sure that I work with the team and listen to them and to tell them my vision clearly, and to allow me to do it, very cautiously. And I think that was something that made it more special. Winning that award is not about me. It's really about understanding that to be the director, you also need all of these people around you to be able to do your vision. One way or another, from the original idea down to what it became, it's about collaboration and partnership, and I think that's something that was really evident in all of us. And the award was maybe something that, like a cherry on top. After all of, it was a very fast paced for us. We shot 8 days, and Then after the Cinemalaya, all of the producers and the people became busy. So it was something that it's a memory for us that we will always take with us. You know.
And do you think that the awards will like open some doors now for you? Better, would be easier to make a new movie, or do you think?
Maybe not. I think,
Okay.
well, one of the things that I was not expecting are all of these invitations from the festivals. You know, after Vesul, we will be going to Osaka and Osaka Asian Film Festival for the spotlight section. And then something that I'm really looking forward to, it's not a festival, but it's the film being shown in Rikuzen Takata. So we will bring this film to Rikuzen Takata in June. And then it will be shown in Tokyo. And we were also invited in Moscow, originally for competition, but I told them that we already premiered here internationally, so it's just gonna be for exhibition.
Tokyo International, you mean, or?
No, in Tokyo, it's gonna be like
distribution,
a small distribution type, you know,
Good.
for. And yeah, I think it opened doors, not for me, but for the film, I think. And I do understand that making a second film is gonna be very hard, much harder. So all of this is a learning process for me. I'm not taking this as a thing that is an easy step to do another film, but more of as a step to make another one more critical, I think, and more, you know, something that I would also love to do more in the Philippines. But learning about the whole process really helped me understand, you know, there's a lot of different phases that I need to do again when I make the film. And after Cinemalaya, I actually started writing again, and then I was inspired from it. I'm not sure where it will, you know, go, but it's a one step. But yes, it opened a lot of things, but not just opportunities, but this idea of understanding the whole, you know, concept of cinema in different places, in different cultures, and I would love to learn more about it. And I think that's part of me as an artist, really trying to understand how to do this and to explore more, you know. So getting feedbacks about the film, whether it's something that positive or not so positive, it's all helpful, you know. Those are doors as well, you know, because people talk about it and people give their thoughts about it, and all of those things I think are very important for not just for me but also for the film, and for something that I would love to do again next time. Yeah, and I hope the festivals will bring more opportunities, maybe connections and dialogues, so those things.
But the film has been distributed in the Philippines or not yet?
No.
There's no plans to do so, or?
As far as I know, as of this time, no plans yet.
Okay. That's weird. Why?
Maybe logistics, I'm not sure. And especially that the nature of the film is not very much accepted commercially in the Philippines. We can say that it's gonna be a risk to do that, to put it on a theatrical release in commercial spaces. That's something that is really gonna need us to have more, you know, finances, and I think that's not the route that the producers and the team will be going to at this time.
Okay, all right. And tell me a bit about this. The main aspect of the story. One of the main aspects is like this: the protagonist's father has another family in Japan. So tell me a bit about how you came up with this.
It's a very natural thing, and especially in the idea of diaspora, Filipino diaspora. A lot of Filipinos go abroad. The father in the story is not a perfect father. It's a father who basically just wanted to provide for the family, but eventually, you know, something happened with him and the original family, and then, you know, he needed to stay and leave his own Filipino family and start a life in Japan. A lot of Filipinos encounter those things. And yes, part of the inspiration is this idea of Filipino diaspora. But I don't want to portray Filipinos as a struggling, as a struggling family or a struggling worker, because it always depicted as such, as somebody who goes to another country and technically do illegal work and not do the right path. It has been told already a lot of times, and I don't want to portray Filipinos like that. A lot of Filipinos in Japan are also professionals, and has their own family. And I would like to show that in the film, partly at least. But one of the main thing about Filipino diaspora is those kids or children who are left. And in this particular case, the death of the father is actually a representation of that, moving away from and leaving these two sisters to tackle their own conflict. And it always happened, in situations like that. So yeah, I think that's one of the inspiration of making the father somebody who left Philippines and started his own life in a different country, inspired from a different country, land, and hope, and got attracted to a different culture as well. So.
And tell me a bit about the concept of memory, which is being commented upon repeatedly in the film, and also what do you think is the connection with photography and cinema, essentially, because you record memory, you record
Yes.
memories, essentially, yeah.
Yep, I think it directly connects to me, especially that all of these materials that is part of the film are my archive footages of the place itself. As I saw it since 2013 down to the 2023. Memory will always be there. It's a fleeting thing, but it's always there when you need it. Just like photography, if you need to go back to a memory or to a place where you've been, it will always give you this sense of remembrance, or at least the idea of the feeling that you have felt during that time, or things that you have forgotten, or maybe something that you just want to forget. I use that idea because it is something that is also very important for me. This idea of archive, recording moments, recording time, because I believe in change. I believe there's, again, anything can happen in one instant, anything can change in one instant, and these are very important things, to take note of. And I use that as a way to narrate, at least to try to narrate the story of the city, and to connect it with the story of the father, wherein he is the one who's taking all of these videos and photographs and archiving it for the sake of memory. And the only thing that the sisters hold at this particular film are those things. Just like the city, I was inspired by this tree, wherein for me initially it was something that I felt not necessary, but when I learned about this thing of remembering a part of what was before, because at that particular place there was more than 10,000 pine trees that was destroyed, and all just this one tree was left, and it reminded me of that idea of, for them it is very important to remember, because if you forget, then there's a lot of things that it might be washed away as well. So I try to use that. I try to do that as poetry. Somebody asked me before, is this documentary or a film or narrative films? I was trying to say, I was just trying to tell them that yes, maybe it is a poetic documentary inside this narrative of these two sisters. And I was just trying to do that in this particular concept of the film. To try to utilize how important one single image to depict a particular idea or moment or story. That's it. That is integral to what I would love to say.
And do you think people can change in real life, and if they can change this interaction with others, the way this happens?
Sorry again.
And the change comes through interaction with other people, or mostly by ourselves, let's say? Because I mean, the protagonist changes through her interactions with her sister.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think this aspiration of being with someone, especially in the idea of when you are really in a place wherein you feel that there's no hope or you are in a deep grief, being with someone helps. I've been in that particular position, and it is something that also pushed me to do this particular story, to this direction of these two protagonists. Because I wanted to make a film that will. I always describe this as a warm hug that you actually don't need. It's something that, because when you're in that particular position, even somebody asking you how you are is a very difficult thing to answer if you are in that situation, you know. But sometimes you need to hear that question from another people or another place. You know. I'm not saying that you need someone just to change, but I feel being with someone will help. Not necessarily to change because of that, but to see things from a different perspective. That when you are alone and then when you are in your own space, then you will be able to try to understand yourself. So I think that was the idea of as well of Reina being able to go to her own space, trying to paint this idea of them, these two sisters, of her idea of her sister, being in that particular space wherein she's more comfortable with. Also, that was the time that I also showed in the film that when it was also the space that allowed her to break down. So it is her own space, you know, and it is her own moment to understand herself. But being with someone, maybe something pushed her to be in the to understand her own feelings and emotions.
So you kind of identify with her, with the Filipino
I
protagonist?
identify with the three of them. I mean,
three.
with the father, with Ella and Reina. I try to emulate a piece of myself with these particular characters. Not to a point that it is me, but to a point that it is something that I believe in or something that I know I'm feeling. You know, so it is. It is a personal, but when I was starting to develop it, it was really something that I needed to detach myself. So it doesn't need to be about me, and it doesn't need to be, you know, because when I started writing the story way back, it was about a father and it was different, you know, it was really different, and then gradually I was able to detach and to put myself away or at least outside of this concept of the story. But a piece of me was left there with these characters, you know, how they deal with their life, how they deal with things.
Okay. And tell me a bit, how did the casting work for the film?
Very, thank you for asking. It was really very special. But for Arisa, it was very easy for us to, because of the Japanese producer. She has contacts with of course with agencies in Japan, and when I told her and talked about the character of Reina, she presented several artists, several actresses. But when we saw, of course, Perfect Days and we saw Arisa Nakano, and I wrote a letter to her, to her agency, and hoping to get her to give us a chance. And yeah, it was just one-time meeting. She was the only actress that we talked to in Japan. It was a different case when we were looking for the Filipino side. We talked to a lot of different actresses. Unfortunately, there was an actress that was supposed to portray Ella, but she had difficulty and she didn't went to the shoot. We were all there already. We were all prepared to do the shoot. We were all preparing. We were doing the B-rolls and everything, and we were just waiting for her to come, and she didn't come. So the producers called several actresses, and then Gabby said yes. We gave her the story, and then it's like she knew about the story Saturday. We confirmed Sunday. She flew in Monday.
Oh.
She shot the movie Tuesday.
Wow.
It was a special thing. It was fate, I think. And the most funny thing is, there was this film titled Gitling. Maybe you have seen it.
Yeah.
It was also a Cinemalaya film,
Yeah.
2023.
She played the opposite role.
Yeah. Originally, my story is about Filipino son traveling to Japan to attend the funeral of his father and meeting his step sister. And then I saw that film, so I needed to rewrite because I don't want it to be a reverse character. So I developed it. I was happy to develop it. I was very happy with how I developed this story of the two sisters. And then eventually, Gabby was I was trying to veer away from Gitling, but Gabby was our actress. And I told her about that. And I told her, I think it's fate. You are meant to portray this role because of all the people, of all the ideas and all of the reasons, that I needed to change, and then now we're here. I really haven't got a chance to sit down with Arisa and the previous actress, but it was a very good feeling to see them both sitting together. And the first scene that they did was the lawyer scene. So it was, and it was strategically positioned by the team as well. That the first thing that we do is this connection, this idea of disconnected sisters, and then hopefully they gradually know each other. So it helped, I think. But that was the story about casting.
And how, let's say, was your cooperation regarding her initial mentality is the part that I like about her, that she's irritated, angry, annoyed by everything.
We talk a lot. We talk before shooting a scene, and I told her all about these ideas about who her character is, and then we build it from there. In each particular scene, we discuss this, and but Gabby is a very amazing actress. She's really a very good theater and film actress, and she's actually she's garnering a lot of attention right now. Hopefully, she will do more films and to really be given more breaks not just in the Philippines but also abroad. But that's how we process things. We do it one step at a time. It's like all of the three of us was the first time working together in this particular film. We haven't really talked a lot about each detail, so we do it gradually and sensitively in each particular scene. And it was a collaborative thing, especially Arisa as well. Like for example, I needed to rewrite a part of the script where they were walking in the bridge, and then I told them, Arisa, I want you to ask a question to your sister, maybe something about what's the daughter's gonna be the name. And then I asked her about this name. So I told her I want a name that is just easy to pronounce and just one word, something that is significant to what we're doing, because it was the last, also one of those last scenes that we did. So she contributed as well. But and she told Hickory, and that's very nice because the main inspiration for her character is actually in real life, the name is Hickory as well. So it was, I believe it was all fate, So, and I didn't told her during that time, but her character is actually inspired from this girl that I met in Ricosan Takata when she was 9 years old. In 2013, and then now she's 20 years old, now studying and living in Tokyo, and this energy of a young girl, a young lady, and it was very special. So even Arisa has her own ways to deal with the scenes. She always asks about, should I do this like a very formal Japanese, or should I do this based on my age, or should I do this based on the Filipino? She asked a lot of questions. So it was really a good methodology for all of us as we progress.
Okay. And regarding the cinematography, can you tell a bit more how you cooperated with Villegas?
When I approached Dan, because ever since I started working on the story, it was him that I always listens to me, trying to ask me questions, and sometimes I don't know the answer to it, and I told him I will get back to you. So until the time that we were able to polish the story, and I asked him about the idea of maybe you would like to lens and do this as a cinematographer as well, and he thought about it, but I was really pushing him to do it because I believe in his cinematography. He's also a teacher, so he understands the film, he understands the story. And then when we discussed things, I told him that I want you to go to Rikuzen Takata. I want you to see the place. I want you to understand it from my perspective, how I saw it, and see the wide empty spaces that I would like to show in the film. So I told him strategically about all of these locations that I would like to be placed in the film because it is very significant. Like in the bridge part where they're walking, where they already had a closure, that's basically the last point of the tsunami. So that's where it ends. So I integrated it to him, and then he understood, and he was very inspired as well when he saw this rebuilding and this city that is still, trying to rebuild gradually. Then he told me about his type of cinema, his ideas about it. We collaborated as well with a colorist, and until the time that we were able to finish it, it was beautiful. He also asked for his own team so that he would be able to work properly. So we asked J.R. Misa, the camera operator, to be with us so that it was not just my process, but allowing my team to have their own way of doing it. Like Dan Villegas, the production designer, Aero. So it was really a collaborative thing, And I try to explain it to them as detailed as I can, so that when they try to elaborate it visually, it's more of their own interpretation of it already. So it was really nice.
And I guess you just got into it, but what is your opinion of the Filipino movie industry at the moment? Like the quality of the movies, let's say, how the industry works?
Well, with the Cinemalaya, I think even in our batch, like Kip Obanda, Sarge Lacuesta, and Dominic, there's a lot of Filipino filmmakers that are very inspiring, especially doing things that are unconventional. Diaz, and he just released a film last year, and some of the short filmmakers like Glenn Barry, and Arvin Bellarmino. All of these filmmakers are, the energy I think is really inspiring for me. Different from what I'm used to in the visual arts, wherein it's just solo, and the idea of celebrating artists based on paintings that are based on the value that are placed by the market. But in film, it's different. It's really the idea of stories and these people working together. And right now, I really appreciate how filmmakers become more vocal about the working, conditions in the Philippines. There are different types of films being produced in the Philippines. I'm not sure if it's okay or not, but what I can say is that it's very dynamic, I think. There are this culture of creating a lot of materials that are sexually oriented, the Viva Max and all of these things, but there's also this very pushing the boundaries, especially in platforms like Q Cinema, where you see Maria doing her short film, and Arvin, and a lot of young filmmakers as well. No? I'm new to this, but being part of it and seeing it more and meeting these people, yeah, I think I can say that's very dynamic. Dynamic doesn't mean always positive, but it's a thing that ignites a lot of discussions and dialogues. I think and that's what interests me and inspires me.
And the last question, I guess, next project after this, what are you doing?
Right now, I'm actually developing two stories. Something that I was actually dreaming of making this first, but I was taking time to develop it. It's a place called Bliss. Bliss is a housing project in the Philippines by the Marcoses. I grew up in that particular place. It's like a tenement. It's like a lot of buildings, a lot of layers of people living together. So I'm creating this story of multi-character story or multi-layers of stories about this place and about all of these issues that surrounds this place. And another one is this film or the story about the aspirations of the youth. That is basically a tragic story that is inspired from the ozone disco way back in 1996. So I'm trying to develop this particular two stories. And actually I wrote another one that is inspired from the idea of Reina, which is a multicultural person who lives in a different city where she tries to find her own identity. But I don't want to be branded as somebody who just wants to make Japanese films. And I want to go back to my first idea of a story, which is where I grew up in. So that's something that I'm looking forward to and really trying to develop it gradually. So I'm taking my time.
Good. I guess that's it. Thank you very
Manos,
much.
thank you.
I hope I didn't